Hey, call me Shape. And today I'm reacting to a video titled Cheyenne Bryant Snaps After Men Call Her Too Old. Let's get right into it.
There was instant backlash from men. Instant. Mm-hmm. And obviously they use the whole, how can she claim to be a relationship expert or a life coach in any way, shape, or form? She's never been married. She's single. She has no kids. It's the blind leading the dumb, et cetera, et cetera. Do you find that, because now you're everywhere, do you find that the tide has turned in terms of the response that you get from men? Have they started to actually listen to the words coming out of your mouth?
So I get a lot of response from men that say, thank you for identifying what broken homes and broken families are. Mm-hmm. I'm a 23-year-old man. I have 3 kids by 3 different women, never planned it to be this way, but knew nothing else. When I heard you speak, on Cam Newton's podcast, it brought me awareness. It changed my life, and I want to be different. I have been eating in restaurants and men walk over like, yo, look, you're doc. Yeah, I am. I just did 15 years in prison. And prior to that, I did create broken houses and broken homes, and I did have a lot of dysfunctions that you talk about. I listened to you while I was in prison, mm-hmm. and you changed my life. So I get, from my experience, more of that. Mm-hmm. But I want to say, to your point of the men or the group of people who are bringing the backlash, I don't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. I want you to listen. Mm-hmm. And if you disliking me or backlashing or criticizing is going to get you a tool that'll change your life and help you do better and have a better quality of life, then damn it, dislike me even more. Because if that brings you to listen more, that is my purpose. I'm not here for you to like me. I'm here to interrupt dysfunctional cycles that continue to marginalize our community, continue to break up the things that we need to stop. And if y'all don't want to hear it, guess what? Then flip the fucking channel. But when it comes to me and what I stand on, I advocate for is a better community, human rights, but even more than that, a better Black community. Mm-hmm. And so I say this, I don't go out of my way to speak and say things for likability, because what I've learned
at all.
And what I've learned is, Melissa, once we convince the people that don't like us to like us, we have to spend that entire relationship continuously convincing them to like us over and over again.
Amen and hallelujah.
Because whatever they didn't like in us is in us. And it's gonna show up from time to time. So if anyone thinks that it's healthy to continuously convince somebody over and over again to like the things about you that God has gracefully blessed you with, then you have a bigger internal struggle called self-hate and identity crisis than you even know you do. Because
Cheyenne Bryant, man, she could try to word salad this, but you ain't gonna get away, girl. You ain't gonna get away. All right, let's address some of the things she's talking about, because, shout out to Melissa Ford. She addressed her on the fact that men are giving her backlash. Yeah, who are you to tell us how to live? You don't got no kids, right? You're up in age. Like, who are you, right? You're giving a relationship advice. And it's funny because she says, well, she just wants us to listen. Now, look, we are listening. We heard what you have to say. It's a bunch of bullshit, okay? And to the men that you said there's a jailbird, like a dude who just got out of jail and he told you that you changed his life, or the dude who was a deadbeat dad that you changed his life, like, come on, let's be real. The reason why that dude's not in jail is not because he didn't listen to a woman, right? It's because he probably didn't have a father in his life. He probably was listening to women and he was emotional and aggressive. And a dude that has multiple baby mamas, right, and he's probably a deadbeat dad, his issue is not that he's not listening to women, it's because he's not being like a man. So this idea that she wants to interrupt the dysfunction in the community, baby girl, you are part of the dysfunction. You're a different type of dysfunction. You're the dysfunction where women decide they could wait too long. They think they think your value lasts forever. It doesn't. The value of a woman on a dating market, not your value as a person, as a family member, a sister, an auntie, you have value there. But on the dating market, when it comes to mating and dating, the exact stuff you talk about, you lost almost all your value. And because I reacted to some of her videos before, I found out that she's dating a guy that's, I think, 31, 32, and she says that he's emotionally immature. If he's emotionally immature, why is he smashing you? Why have you guys been dating for the last 5 years? This is the stuff that people question you about because you're a doctor trying to coach people, but here you are dating a man 9 years younger than you who won't commit to you, and you're praising him for wearing a condom as if, that's so special that he makes sure he has protection and so he doesn't accidentally knock you up. This is the bizarre, insane stuff that we hear coming out your mouth, and you wonder why we don't listen. Or we listen, but we don't agree. We don't agree with what you have to say. Hey, listen up, Shape Squad. Are you tired of being ignored by women? Well, download my free ebook, Be Attractive and Shut Up. It's going to teach you how to master attraction, build unshakable confidence, and win with women without words. Because chances are you're not ugly, You just talk too damn much. So download my free ebook, Be Attractive and Shut Up, and take control of your dating life right now. Now let's get right back to the content.
Who you are is not arrogance. It's respect for being an image of God who has created you perfectly in his image and equipped you with everything that you need. And your sheep will know your voice. Even if they're wolf in sheep clothing, the wolf still has to hear the shepherd speak. It doesn't make a difference.
What's your relationship with God and organized religion?
My relationship with God is everything. Organized religion, I'm not really
How do you
involved in.
yeah.
I'm non-denominational. I grew up Catholic.
Okay.
And so, which is very organized.
Oh, trust me, I know.
Very stand, kneel, sit. Very First Communion, 10 Commandments. I went to catechism, which is Catholic school. So I grew up in that. And then as I became a teenager, I transitioned over to non-denominational Christian church, where I got more involved in the principles of the Bible. And that has become, always has been, but has become more of like my direct foundation. So my relationship with God is everything. Everything that I do is after prayer and supplication of saying, God, is this what you will have me do? Is this what you will have me say? Or will you have me to shut up and listen? And I do exactly that. The reason why I'm able to stand so vertical, in addition to my parents being great parents, is that when you have God's understanding, which, surpasses, God's peace, which surpasses all understanding, you become vertical in who you are. And when you know you are standing in your purpose and a commitment to yourself and God, you don't waver. You are a sturdy oak. And people can do one or two things. They either become very admired about it and very in awe about it and very in seeing themselves in you, because there's parts of them that have that, but maybe want to expand more on that. Or you really highlight the shortcomings in them and you really highlight where they need to do the work. And for the people who you're highlighting, this is where you need to do the work, but they're not ready to do the work, guess what? You get pushback, you get resistance. But wherever the resistance is, the pain is.
Yes.
Wherever the pain is where the work needs to be done. And so again, for the folks who are pushing back, for me in the field that I'm in as a psychology expert, I'm reading that. I'm coding that as that's where the pain is. That's where the resistance is. I see you now. Thanks for letting me see you.
Is that what you always wanted to be? Before you got here, I was having a conversation with everybody behind the scenes, and we were talking about the massive left turn that I made, in terms of what I was really impassioned to do. When I was younger, I wanted to be a forensic psychologist. I wanted to be a profiler for the FBI and, just study serial killers and shit like that.
I don't want to get into the boring life that Melissa Ford wanted to live. It's not important. I want to address the fact that Cheyenne Bryant always brings up the Bible. I have an issue with this because she says that she follows the principles of the Bible and God is everything to her. I think she thinks she's a God. I really do believe it, because Eve's first mistake was that she chose pleasure over the Lord, right? The devil lied to her and promised her that she could become something she was never going to become by twisting up God's words. And so her first temptation, the first temptation of man, was to eat something to please themselves. And I believe Cheyenne Bryant is exactly the same as Eve. But she's fooling herself to believe it, and she's using her words. This is why you never trust a woman's words. You trust her actions. Cheyenne Bryant is not living like someone that upholds the principles of the Bible. If you uphold the principles of the Bible, since you said she's been in Catholic schools her entire life, she grew up Catholic, you would have stayed a virgin until marriage, which she hasn't. We know she's sleeping around with a man 9 years her junior, okay? And she would have realized in the very first thing that God commanded Eve after the fall was to submit to her husband, and that she'll have pain in childbirth. But looks like Cheyenne Bryant has been avoiding the pain of childbirth, and she's been avoiding submitting to a husband. And he also said that your husband will rule over thee. Who has ruled over Cheyenne Bryant other than herself? She is her husband. That's my issue with her. My issue with her is she keeps quoting the Bible when it's convenient for her. She cherry picks it. God's everything. And a lot of modern Christians, they do this. They take the Bible and they twist the words to make it what they want to make it. And that's exactly what the devil does. The devil twists God's words. So no, I don't believe she's upholding the Bible. No, I don't think she's anything special. No, I don't think that she should speak on the Bible the way she does, because personally, I don't feel like she's upholding the principles she says she upholds. Now, I know a lot of people think I'm a hypocrite and, you shouldn't talk, you're a hypocrite. I know people think I'm a hypocrite of the Bible, but I'm not. If the Bible says something that I'm not doing, I'm wrong. I want to see Cheyenne Bryant say that. I'm wrong. When you have fornication, I'm wrong. I've done it. I'm wrong. I want her to say that she's wrong for abstaining from being in a marriage, abstaining from having kids, and submitting to a husband. I want to hear her say that. She hasn't said that, and I don't think she's going to say that. Anyway, I'm gonna skip through this interview because this interview has a lot of parts to it. I think this is the exact spot we need to get to. Let's listen to what they say at this point. She talks about her one-on-one coaching process. Let's listen to it.
Ask you, take us through a life coaching session. You can you can pick one out of your mind as to something that struck you recently, that you ended up learning from this particular client or the circumstances in which they presented. Take us through like a life coaching session.
It was a session I had earlier today before coming on your show. A beautiful couple that I have, and they've been together for about 5 or 6 years. He's never cheated on her. She has cheated on him. And he had to travel for a business trip, and they share each other's locations. And she checks his location, and he was on the elevator. So the location said one spot, and he went from the elevator to his hotel room and was in the bed. And so the location showed that it changed. And she called him immediately and said, "Where are you?" And he goes, "I'm in the bed." And she goes, "Well, how did your location keep changing so much?" He's like, "Well, I went from the lobby to the elevator to the bed. So my location is following me." And she's telling me about this, and I asked him, "Does it bother you that she does these check-ins?" And he goes, "No, not really. I just know it's," and he joked, "It's a part of her craziness." And he, was being fluffy and playful with her.
That's interesting because it's projection.
Yeah.
She's the one that cheated, but she's the one being hypervigilant about his whereabouts. And he seems to be, from what you're saying, chill.
So I checked in with her, and I said, "Let me ask you a question. He's never cheated on you. So what is the narrative that goes on in your head about what is possible?" And she says that once the kids, grow up, he can leave me, or he's just here because I'm convenient. He's here for a season. He really doesn't want me. This may not work. I know that happy things don't last, and so this is going to have to come to an end at some point. And so she goes down this distorted thinking and her ruminating thoughts. And so I say, okay, and I say, well, let me ask you this: do you think there'll ever be a time that the reassurance that he is continuously provided will allow you to be able to nest in that? I said, or do you think that you always have to check in for that reassurance every, so often? She goes, well, I think that I always have to check in no matter what. I said, okay. I said, so what that tells me is that you are in the wilderness, but you are creating your own wilderness, and that this man has created a promised land for you, that your limited thoughts, your distorted thinking, and your norm that you came into this relationship with is not allowing you to be in the promised land. I said, let me tell you a story about Moses. And she's listening. I said, he freed the Israelites from Egypt. They got to the Red Sea opened up. God was so gracious that he had them walk on dry land. So by the time they got to the other side of the Red Sea, there was no residue on their feet from their past. So they didn't even have the burden of the past. Then as the Israelites come into the Red Sea to obviously come get, the Egyptians come to the Red Sea to come back enslave the Israelites, he closes up the Red Sea on the Egyptians, showing the Israelites, I got you. I got you. I'm covering you. There's hedges around you. I got you at the Red Sea, and I got you on the other side. I said, but when they got there, they were experiencing the Stockholm syndrome of, wait, I'm here, and
I really don't like how she talks about the Bible. I just don't. I just don't. Because, look, the Bible is going to do a few things, and let me explain what those things might be. The Bible might give you something that's called descriptive, right? It might describe something, okay? The Bible also might be prescriptive, as in it's going to prescribe, it's going to recommend, it's going to command, it's going to influence you, right? And then also do something that's emotive, okay? So it's like it gives you the feeling of something, right? And the understanding something of the energy and the relationship between things. She uses the Bible and the stories from the Bible, and she cherry picks them as if one story in the Bible could apply to everybody. It doesn't work like that. Not everyone has the same assignment in the Bible. Some of the things about the Bible is for us to understand God. Not that God's going to do the exact same thing for us. I really hate that she does this. It's this idea that God loves everybody. Clearly he doesn't. I don't think God loves everybody. I don't want to get into that, but I don't think he loves everybody. So she gets into this. I have an issue with it. But I want to go back onto the fact that she's describing a relationship between a man and a woman that she's counseling, and the woman is a chronic cheater, and she's trying to check on her. And she, first of all, I think the story is bullshit, because who accuses a man of saying that, your location is moving around within the same hotel that you're in? How do you know how does a location move around as from the elevator to the hotel? I mean, from your elevator to your room. It's the same place. So this story just feels like a farce to be going. But I'm gonna grant it to her. Let me grant it to her, okay? Let's say the story is real. Don't you think it's funny that the kind of people that go to her for counseling are women who cheat on their husbands? Don't you think it's funny? She's cheating on her husband, yet she goes to Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, the fake doctor, for advice. I think this is very telling of the women that she appeals to. She doesn't appeal to the woman who is necessarily the husband's cheating. She appeals to a woman who's doing the cheating. Because to me, Cheyenne Bryant is the type of woman that would cheat. She is. She's not the type of woman that would be faithful. If she was, she'd have a man already, right? And, look, I think, she's an average, decent, she's an average woman, right? And she could get an average man, but clearly she wants an above average man. And, most women do too. But I think it's ironic that she's coaching people when she's had a below average experience for the most part. But soon her experience is going to be average. Most women are not going to have any kids. Most women are going to be miserable. Most women are going to regret the fact that they waited too long to start a family. So she's going to be one of many, in the future. Okay, so this next part talks about pretty privilege. Let's listen to what they have to say.
Do or think when it comes to you? What was that narrative?
Well, my situation is I introduced myself to the world by way of being a music video model, a silent, mini movie star. So people just saw my looks. And I was going to ask you a question about pretty privilege because you walked through the door. I was like, holy shit, you've seen her on TV. She's stunning. Like, she's beautiful on camera. She's stunning in person. So I definitely wanted to ask you a question about pretty privilege and how many difficulties you've had to experience to where people just were just stopped by your looks and you're just like, hello, I have a lot to say. But I introduced myself to the world, and the world processed me as being beautiful when I tried to show the world that I had other, dimensions to my personality.
They weren't receptive to it.
They were not receptive to it at all. I mean, it's only now that people are like, what surprises me most about Melissa is her level of intelligence. I'm turning 49 in November. I've been in this business for over 25 years.
Wait a minute. And this... Y'all don't see 49 anywhere here. Don't play with me.
Thank you.
No way.
Yes.
No way. Not like that. But now I see why they get caught up on the looks. Girl,
thank you.
Gorgeous.
Thank you. But it's taken a really long time for people to see that side of me. And so I guess because I existed and lived in the male gaze for so long and didn't know it, wasn't aware of it, but it kind of validated.
Yeah, you're just in your career, in your field, doing you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I realized that there were certain things that the messy parts of me that I couldn't show because men wouldn't find them attractive, and that was my primary audience, and that was my bread and butter. But they created your perception of yourself. Absolutely, and
then you clothe yourself with that.
And I was so controlled by public perception and criticism that the levels of severe depression and sometimes suicidal ideation where I don't know how I'm still here.
Sorry to hear that. First of all, sorry to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being bold enough to share it.
Thank you.
Because there's so many men and women who are going to watch this who can relate. And you don't know whose life you're going to save by them saying, me too.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing about the development of self-awareness and understanding that those ugly, messy parts are really actually incredibly beautiful because they're the most relatable parts.
And that's what shadow work helps you see.
Yes, and they're the most relatable parts of me. So now I broadcast them to the world. Nothing about my journey makes me feel shame at all because I know that there is going to be somebody that relates to what I'm saying, and it's going to make them feel, it's going to allow them to exhale and feel a sense of relief that their problems are not unique, or that they're strange, or that they're unlovable, or whatever the case is. I feel like that is extraordinarily important. My level of candidness, that's what I do. So I have such an appreciation for what it is that you do. But going back to the whole shadow work thing, so long-winded description as to what it was.
To honor you in self-disclosing, because what you're doing is you're showing people your cross. And many of us have the same cross. We don't know how to carry it. So when you self-disclose and you give your testimony, you're pretty much being a disciple. And you're going, this is my cross. You're allowing people to say, I have the same cross. And you're saying, but this is how I carried it. And they're going, now I know how to carry it. See, that's life-changing. That's life-saving. People identify.
You see, we've listened to these women, and they don't offer nothing of value. They don't. I hear everything you said. You're carrying the cross. I hear everything you said. She wanted to make sure her problems weren't unique, and we hear everything. You know what I'm saying? And you didn't like the fact people value you for your beauty. And here's the thing I think about to myself. A lot of people have this perfection complex, right? She couldn't just be happy with the fact that people thought she was beautiful and that she was a model or a video vixen, whatever. I think, obviously, to be honest with you, I think that Melissa Ford's kind of average in the face. She's not Tia Tamara in kind of the face, right? She's just a light-skinned girl, right? And I'm going to keep it real with you. As someone that used to one of the things I used to do in Jersey, and you can ask anybody about this in Jersey, people that know me, especially in the Newark area, was I was a guy people used to go to if they wanted models for their music video. Why? Because I used to be a model photographer. Let me tell you, everyone has a hard time getting a pretty girl just to show up in the music video. It's hard. And it's easier for me because I had social media. Imagine how hard it was back in the day. You know how hard it was to get a person that knew video models? Because video models weren't like runway models, right? They were pretty girls from around the way. That's what video models were. As anyone, like, people used to search for, yo, do you have a friend? That's how it was back in the day. Do you know someone? It was tough. So when they found a girl, they'll just reuse her and use her over and over again because they had a hard time staffing and casting these things back in the day, okay? That was the thing. Now, she's a light-skinned girl. She benefited from light-skin privilege. And so, I won't lie, too, Melissa Ford got a body. She still got a body, too, right? I would say between her and Cheyenne might have a slightly prettier face, but then has a worse body. Okay? I prefer body over face for the most part. So I personally would go with a Melissa Ford. If I had to choose an oldie, but I wouldn't, but I'm saying if I had to choose an oldie, I would probably go with a Melissa Ford type who has a mean body, but then again, at the same time, she's in perimenopause, so probably not. Anyway, so I want to address the fact that, all right, so when I talk about the perfection complex, I think it's funny to me that someone could have an attribute that a lot of people don't have, that you're beautiful and it's like you're not satisfied with that. You want more than that. You want to be perfect. You want people to think you're smart, you're brilliant, you're a boss. This is this lie that people tell women that you can have everything. No, you can't. I know you want to be the smart girl that's beautiful, that's this, that's that. But no, the reason why some people have skills that other people don't have, and if you look at it from a God standpoint, is so we could all cooperate with each other, so nobody will have everything. I think God purposely made it so some people are smart, some people are beautiful, some people are fast, some people are slow. You know what I'm saying? He didn't evenly distribute these things amongst people so we could cooperate with each other, so because we need each other. But too many women walk through this life like, oh, I don't need a man, I don't need nobody, I can do everything for myself. I don't think God wanted it that way. God tell man it's not good for you to be alone. You know what I'm saying? So he gave man something that he didn't have. He could have easily made another man, but he made a woman. He made someone that's complementary to them. Woman, I would love if y'all looked at life like you're the pretty one and you're going to team up with a guy that's smart, and therefore you're going to have, you know what I'm saying, a force, right? Someone who's generally smart with someone who's generally pretty. That's how people used to come together. Now she's like, I'm going to be smart and pretty, and I want someone that's smart and pretty as well. It's this perfection complex, right? And on top of that, a lot of women that don't have kids at their age, because I believe Melissa Ford's 49, right? And Cheyenne Bryant's like 44 or something like that. It's funny because what we learn from this is that these women were holding out for the best opportunity possible to have kids, and look what happened. Now they're long in the tooth, they're old in age, they're left over, they're washed up, and they're trying to figure out, what to do now, right? Because let's keep it real. Melissa Ford, she said she spent 25 years in the music industry and she don't got nobody. And she dated Flo Rida at that. Dated Flo Rida, slept with Irv Gotti. She was able to sleep with a bunch of people, but not get no wedding rings. Or I believe she said she had a wedding ring, but then she returned it, whatever. That kind of goofy stuff, you know what I'm saying? And last thing I want to address the fact that a lot of people, you want to be this unique person, but you don't want to have unique problems. It's so funny to me. She's like, oh yeah, I don't want to feel like I'm the only one that had this problem. Why? You want to be such a snowflake. You want to be just so individualized. Why don't you feel like you have an individualized problem? Look at me. I'm the kind of person where I want a unique life, and I'm going to keep it real with you. I got a lot of unique problems, right? The issues I have on YouTube, most people I know don't have them because they don't do YouTube. Most people are not YouTubers. So I have one friend, shout out to my friend Jack Morgan. Me and him, we compare notes. We don't have that many other people, right? I have maybe a few other people, but most people I know don't make money and pay their bills with YouTube. YouTube literally pays my bills, you know? And shout out to all those haters saying that, oh, July 15th's coming, July 15th. Do you see what happened on July 15th? I seen a video about July 15th, and let me tell you, clearly you don't watch it. You just hoping my downfall so bad. But let me tell you something. YouTube loves the fact that I do commentary and reaction videos. July 15th about AI deep fakes and people just trying to pirate other people's content by duplicating it. Not transforming it through reactions and commentary. That's what I do, okay? This is accountability content. Something that they're not doing. I'm taking their content that lacks accountability and I'm giving it accountability. I transform it. And that's why I have an audience, and that's why I've built it up to this point. So people can't respect it. That's their issue. Okay? So I want to leave with this note. I think Cheyenne Bryant and Melissa Ford's a match made in heaven. Maybe they should be with each other. Right? It's not like Cheyenne Bryant really follows the Bible, so she could break any rules she wants. Because God said, never let a woman usurp authority over a man. And that's exactly what she's doing when she's counseling people and trying to be this. It's out of order, okay? It's out of order. And it's no surprise that women who are out of order don't have kids in their 40s. No surprise to me. They're going to try now when they're the least likely and they're in geriatric pregnancy territory. That's imagine that. The time they're going to start to try to have kids, at least Cheyenne Bryant is when she's in geriatric territory. But she thinks she can lead other people. Yeah, tell people not to do what you did. That's what you should do. Anyway, like the video, subscribe to the channel blowing up. I appreciate you guys. Check out some of my other videos. And I'll see y'all over there.